Hello and welcome to Past Your Bedtime. My name's Bev. You could say my guest today has had a lucky life as a farmer. He wouldn't disagree, and certainly counts his blessings when he considers the growth of the farming operation from the earliest days of his great-grandfather's tenancy to the last 40 years with him in the driving seat. Listening to Charlie, however, it's clear this wasn't just luck, and his desire to expand the business, creating added value with existing resources, highlight a shrewdness just as much as an eagerness to both learn from others in the sector as well as give back to it in the form of volunteering. The growth of the farm operation since 1910 is, through successive Whitehouse sons, a typical story of family farming that plays out up and down the land and, like other farming families, is forcing something of a rethink about the future of farming against a backdrop of increasing input costs, geopolitical influences and domestic government policy. Like every other farmer I've interviewed, there's a recognition that farming cannot happen in isolation. With recent political events galvanising support for British farmers, as well as the accessibility granted by the rise of social media, even hopefully things such as this podcast, farmers are facing the changes together and sharing the ups and downs so as to build a more resilient industry. You join the conversation on this very topic. Clearly, in the past, farmers kept themselves to themselves by nature of their existence, but they probably would have liked to have shared information, but now we've just got the mechanisms for doing it, right? We're all connected, we're all chatting, messaging all the time, and so it's moved on. But I think it's a testament to that group of you at the time that just hit it off and have wanted to keep going and keep doing something useful as well as just keeping in touch because you're friends.
That's, we have become friends. It's gone beyond
like the school reunion every year.
Yeah, it is. And we know each other so well. We know each other's children. We know each other's businesses. We know each other's families, wives, parents, all those sorts of things. And I mean, I hosted a visit here, which was a worshipful company reunion 2 years ago. And it was my father-in-law organising it. And it was their 42nd. Because he did it, my father-in-law did it, 44 years ago now. It's great. So I've just come back from there. So when people say about my, I've got a good story, I just probably tell a good story. It's like a yarn, isn't it? So we are a mixed farm, traditional. Well, I would call it a traditional, fairly traditional mixed farm on the Herefordshire Gloucestershire border. So our farm buildings are dissected by the county border. Half of them are in Herefordshire, half of them in Gloucestershire. And so great-grandfather came here in 1910 as a tenant. The name of the estate that the farm was on was called the Wilderness Estate, which ask any farmer about what's the most important thing you look at when you're going to rent farms or buy land or rent land. And that is, ask the name of the farm, ask the name of all the fields. So if you've got a farm called the Wilderness Estate, it gives you an idea of what the land's like. One of our fields is called Breakhearts. Yeah, exactly. So it's beautiful where we live. We're just on the edge of the Forest of Dean. It's lovely. And my grandfather came here as a tenant. He bought the farm then in 1930 something, 20 some odd years later as a sitting tenant. He had 3 daughters, none of them married into agriculture. And my paternal grandmother married a civil engineer from the Forest of Dean. My father was one of 4 boys, and when she got married, they moved into a cottage that was on the farm here, and my grandmother did, and then her husband, my grandfather, went away in the Second World War. And so the boys were brought up by their grandfather, my great-grandfather. And so he was very influential on them. And my father left school at 16. And when he was 18, he went into partnership with his brother and his grandfather.
Yeah.
And they farmed together. Dad and John farmed with their grandfather for about another 8 or 10 years. Then he died. They bought the farm then off their mother and 2 aunties, and then they built the farm up. So they bought 152 acres when they started, and when they split their partnership in 1989, they had 250 acres each on two separate holdings, 3 miles apart, and they were renting another 200 acres between them. And so they split the partnership up then, very amicably. And Dad went on his own. I went off to college. Went to Shuttleworth College in Bedfordshire. Plan was to go to do a year there, a year working out, travelling, doing whatever, and then go back for another year at college, and then come home and get my teeth into the business. I'm one of 5 children. I've got 4 sisters. They're all older than me, so sort of 7 years older than me and older. None of them were involved in the farm, were interested in the farm, and that's all I ever wanted to do. So I went to college, and Dad was a passionate huntsman. So we had a fox hunt based here on the yard for 26 years. He hunted them for 10. At that time, he just said, I'm gonna farm on my own for a few years. Then when you come home, we'll see where it goes. And I'd been at college for a couple of months, and some land came up for rent, and he rang me and said about it. And I actually, he didn't ring me. He sent me a letter. That's how long ago it was. And so I went into the payphone box at college and rang him up, put my 50p's in, and he was telling me about the land that I knew where it was. And I said, oh, actually, that's really coincidental. I need something for a bank project for college. And I used the application process for this land.
So a bank project, as in how to get funding from the bank?
Yeah. So it was for college. How would you go about tendering for a farm?
Yeah.
So
the first 2 months of your first year at Ag College.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And this land came up, and the caveat my father set me was that if we got it, I'd have to come home, because he wanted to slow down, and I never thought for a second we'd get it, but we got it. So I did 1 year at college, and I came home. So that was 1990. So when I went to college, we were 250 acres owned, 100 acres rented. I came home, and 8 years later, we had bought another 100 acres, and we were farming just over 2,000.
Yes, that's a massive leap on the rented side of it then. So what?
Yeah. We doubled the business in 1998. We went from 1,000 to 2,000 in a year.
Oh, okay. So what was behind that then? Why? I don't understand the mechanics of why you would choose to buy or rent. Is it just what's available? Does it make a difference to how you farm?
But I mean, obviously, buying, you need some money behind you to start with, or you need something to borrow against, and it does tie up an awful lot of cash. The land we bought during that time was neighbouring land to us. One block seemed to just go under the radar of lots of other farmers, and we picked it up in hindsight fairly cheaply. And then the expansion of the rented land, it's just, if you want to grow your business, I got into the habit of growing my business. I was hungry. I was keen. I wanted to leave my mark.
Who was the owner of that land then? A landowner, presumably.
So today, we've got 24 landlords.
Messy.
No? Messy. Yeah. Never put them in the same room together. And never give any of them a reason to phone you. Just make sure that all the gate, if you work out where they walk their dogs, make sure all those gate hinges work. Make sure all those foot barns are topped down. Make sure that when their horses want hay in the winter, they have hay. You just make sure I've got one landlord who I didn't speak to for 5 years. It's that way. That's how he wants to keep it. And so it is a messy business. We're very, very spread out. So we're 16 miles from one side of the farm to the other, east to west, and about 3 miles wide.
Thank you for the footage that you sent me. I just had another look at it. It's as far as the eye can see, actually, isn't it? From that spot where you took the video.
Yeah, no, it is. We've got a hill just up the road from us called May Hill, and you can see 7 different counties on a clear day. It's just a stunning view, and we're blessed. And where we farm is a hot spot of dynamic businesses. It's fabulous. So we sheep, beef, combinable crops were what we did. Everything we grow is for seed. Virtually all the combinable crops for seed. So we're seed producers. We grow for different merchants, different seed breeders. So we grow seed wheat, seed oats, seed winter beans, seed spring beans. We grow stubble turnips for seed, and we grow a lot of grass seeds as well. So we're looking to add a little bit of value all the way through.
Okay. Interesting. So would you have done anything else? You said you always wanted to be in farming. Then what? Did you just not have your eyes on anything else?
Yeah. I mean, if I won the 6 numbers on a Saturday night, I'd probably go and buy myself a 360 digger, in an excavator, and I'd sit on one of those. So I'm guessing that if I was going to do something else other than farm, it would probably been, I would have done that. I think I quite enjoy that.
The machinery side of it.
Yeah. Other than that, I cannot tell you how lucky I am to have never had to worry or think about what I want to do. Occasionally, certainly in the last year or two, it started to creep into me to think, actually, am I lucky? Because I'm tied to it now. And it's not quite as exciting and fun as it used to be. Certainly, it's not as rewarding as it used to be. Yeah. And so I am a one-trick pony, but I still wouldn't change that for the world.
Did you listen to my episode with James Peck?
Yes.
Yeah. So he talked about succession planning and the backdrop to it. But I think he's got 3 girls, and of course they're quite young still, so he doesn't know if they're even. And I'm not saying it just because they're girls, but he doesn't know whether they'll want to go into farming ultimately one day. But that the sort of age, I think he's just about to celebrate his 50th birthday. He said a lot of his friends in the industry of a similar age, that some are fortunate enough to be in the situation of, we'll just pack up now and bugger off to the south of France. And, obviously you must, everybody questions at some point in their career, as I have done, what am I doing here? Do I want to carry on doing it till I retire? And I decided not to. But I don't have the wherewithal to be buggering off to the south of France. But so it's sort of, he put it down to just an age thing. I'm getting to that point in life where you sort of think, am I doing this now for another 20 years or not?
Yeah. I mean, certainly if you saw me next to James, you wouldn't believe that I'm 5 years older. But I'm 55, and there are a few things happen in life. Yeah, I mean, as you've alluded there, I turned 50, and one of the things I said to my wife, Katie, was I'm going to stop saying no and start saying yes.
Interesting.
I kept saying no to loads of opportunities to go and do things other than work.
Yeah.
No, I can't go and do that because we're going to be lambing then. Or I can't go and do that in combine. Oh no, we can't go and do that. And I just said, no, come on, start saying yes. So we've done some, we've traveled just a little bit now. And we go off. We religiously every Sunday morning take the dogs to a good 2-hour walk, just the 2 of us. We weekends away. It's just, you just got to take. I have to consciously make that decision and consciously do it. And that's not because I don't want to spend time. I didn't want to spend time with her before. I'd have loved to, but.
No, but you're always making validations about the stuff that needs to be done. So I might as well get on and do it. And
and I think, and I also think that so I think what Rachel from Accounts announced a couple of years ago on the inheritance tax, that had a big impact as well, because
Yeah.
it was another nail in the coffin of wanting to push on and expand. I've got to a point when we've got a reasonable sized business and we're doing okay, and I want to just take my foot off the gas just a little bit and enjoy life a little bit more. And then that came along, and you think, well, hey, there's another reason why would I want to go and buy some more land, or it's drawn, it has slightly suffocated.
Yeah. Well, funny, because I was talking to him on budget day, so it was front of mind when we had a conversation. Obviously, times moved on, but still in a similar situation, despite the shift in the numbers back just before Christmas. But now they've lost the appeal, haven't they, in the high courts? So I don't know if that's the
there wasn't enough government
consultation
and planning towards it. And I commend the people that did that tried to take that to court. I'm in the situation now at home here now. My father's he'll be 90 on the 1st of June.
Right.
And he still runs the sheep enterprise. We lamb 700 ewes, and he still works 7 days a week. He was hunting until 2 years ago, mounted, and he has no pension. I have no pension, and so we've had to make some decisions fairly quickly. He's been incredibly good to me. I was a partner at 21, 50% partner at 21. And so I've always been known how incredibly lucky I am for that, because we all know the alternative and see it too often. But we're at the point we're at now. Yeah, I mean, I'm now thinking about with my children. They're 20. Well, I've got one that's 23. She's going to tell me off whether she's 23 or 24. And I've got 3 that are 21. We had triplets. And so one of those wants to farm. So we're starting that conversation now about
succession planning. That's it.
Yeah.
You didn't answer my question fully. So if you just would have preferred to be sat on a JCB, is it just your love of playing with big machinery and being out in a...
No, it's everything. We've got sheep. We lamb 700 ewes. We calve about 100 suckler cows. And then in 2007, we introduced a herd of milking goats. We're milking about just over 700 at the moment, milking goats. So livestock are part of what I do. And you are talking to one of the trendiest farmers in the country. This whole regen thing, I could have written it. And
it's nothing new to you.
It just makes me chuckle a little bit, because a lot of what they're doing, we've been doing forever, because we would never leave a field bare over the winter.
I did think it was a bit odd, and I think I said this to somebody quite early on, and I thought, well, I don't have enough knowledge to come out with an opinion at this point, so just button it. But as someone who's gardened for years, it did seem to me that the conversation was like, what's obvious, isn't it? If you want to put nitrogen back in the soil over winter, you put a cover crop on it, like a mustard seed or something like that. It's stuff, and crop rotation, duh. And I know it's more than that. Gosh, talking to Tom Fairfax, which was the episode I just uploaded yesterday, blew my mind in terms of the technical understanding of soil. It just took me right back to my secondary school lessons and failing miserably at sciences. But it's wrong of me to say it's obvious, but it did feel a little bit like surely they would have worked that one out by now.
I agree. And the basics of mixed farming, where we farm, we have land that we can't crop. It's too steep. So you have to graze it. So therefore we have to have livestock on the farm, and therefore we integrate it into the arable. If I had, if I farmed a couple of thousand acres that I didn't, I could crop it all, my life would be a lot simpler. And I probably wouldn't be a regen farmer by making. But where we are, that's what we have to do. And I think there is a lot. That's my target for 2026 and beyond, is to start to try to understand soil more. I think that we take it for granted, far more than we should.
There's a lot more going on down there.
Yeah.
I'm off to a Regen conference on Wednesday this week, actually. Blessed up here in Yorkshire with the amount of get-togethers and conferences and discussion groups and things like that. So that's at the showgrounds in Harrogate, with Tim Barton.
Yeah.
Barton, that's him, and two or three others from the Green Collective, they're called.
Oh yeah, Jake Freestone would be one of them. Farmer Overbury.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a day of talks, which I struggle with because I can't actually keep my attention levels going for a complete day of seminars. So I shall probably bunk off early. But I'm hoping to meet a few people, and I'm fortunate to be able to say I've made some friends now in the industry who you sort of bump into, and that's nice because I'm new into it, and I'm recognisable. So hopefully some people will come up and say hello and not worry that I'm going to shove a microphone in their face. So I'm going to try and do that too. Yeah. So good. Well, that's a great overview of what you've got. You sort of hinted that there was something surprising about the way in which you've grown the business.
So I went to boarding school. I started boarding when I was 10. I was at Christ College Brecon, which is sort of over an hour away. So when I grew up, I didn't know a lot of people in the area because when I did come home, because I was so obsessed with farming, all I did was I just spent my time out there, and I was lucky enough that, but my father said at 10 I could start to sit in the tractor with the men. That's all I did. I mean, by the time I could drive a tractor, by the time I could reach the pedals, which was probably about 18, I'm not very tall. I plowed thousands of acres. I drilled hundreds and hundreds of acres. In as much I just sat in the cab with them all day, all day, fall asleep on the floor in the corner of the cab or behind the seat. Or nowadays a lot of people would think I shouldn't have been out there and help the safety and weren't even particularly safe cabs, but it was just that's all I wanted to do. So when I did come home after college, it was a lot of work, and I would have to occasionally take a day off, but not very often. I didn't holiday till I had my first holiday when I was 22, and I loved it. Absolutely loved it. I work hard. I play harder. I don't get me wrong. I didn't miss many nights in the pub. Mm-hmm. I love a beer, and so I just did that really, and so it was great. I didn't want any more.
Your entire existence.
Yeah, and then it almost becomes a snowball effect because you're the one taking land on, and land comes to you, and so you're in the know, and we took we were traveling ridiculous long distances to farm bits of ground. We were really I was really hungry, and so. Is it modesty or is it just it's just to me it's normal.
Yeah. So your boy that you say he wants to get into farming, he wants to take
no. I've got 3 daughters and 1 son.
Yeah.
And it's one of my daughters.
Oh, okay. So for her, what advice are you going to be passing on to her about running the farm? I'm assuming if it all happens in the goodness of time, you're going to be co-farming it for a good while yet.
I told all my children when the triplets were choosing their A levels, so that would be 15. Mm-hmm. I told them all then that no matter what, they weren't going to come home. Don't think you're going to come home till you're 25. Okay, no matter what happens, unless it's a catastrophe. Mm. I don't want any of you home till you're 25 because actually. It'll be too soon for me. Mm-hmm. More importantly, I'm not putting any expectation on you. You go off and know.
Find yourself.
Yeah, find yourself and enjoy yourself. And you haven't got to come back at 25. And at that point, I didn't know whether 1 or 4 of them were going to come back and farm. And I just and then the other one actually was that my father, he'd be 93, 94 by the time they come back. Well, he might just be not coming out on the farm quite so often. And I didn't want there to be 3 generations on the farm because I didn't want them to feel remotely stifled by anybody. And I think the older you get, the more stifling you become. Generalization, but I think that's the case. So I want to just give them some time to go off and do other stuff, break other people's kit when they're learning how to drive it instead of mine, and travel. I've never traveled. I didn't do it before we got married, and trying to do a little bit now, but go off and just enjoy yourselves. No pressure.
Yeah, I'm really envious of the people that have done Massfield scholarships. If I'd have known that was even a thing when I was, when I finished school. I was talking about this to a lady earlier on today. Careers advice is just appalling. I don't know that it's gotten any better over the years, but it was certainly appalling for us when we were leaving school in the mid-80s.
Yeah.
And to just not know about that, and then to discover it when I'm a good 10, 20 years older than this upper age limit. I'm just devastated. Drive a combine in the USA? Yes, please.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a big world out there, and I'm a very proud Englishman. I adore where I live and where I farm, but the world's a big place, and there are equally beautiful places, maybe more, and maybe with a bit less legislation, and farmers might be valued a bit more. That they might want to go and farm, and so crack on, go and find what you want to do and find the world. But as it turns out, only one of them wants to do it anyway.
Yeah. Oh, that might change though, mightn't it? I think that lots of us realise that after a while away from home, actually the grass is greener or not greener, depending on what you want to do.
Yeah.
So do you get involved in farming conversations off farm, aside from how we met?
So one of the things that I have always felt, I sort of saw my parents both do stuff for the industry. So chairman of a local discussion group, or parish warden, church warden, and those sorts of things really. And so I a local agricultural society, when I was about 20, I started to run the field and livestock competitions for the Herefordshire Agricultural Society. So I got to meet all the local farmers, quite a good networking thing. And then I had to go and find judges. And then, of course, once you ring somebody up and say, would you please come and judge our best field of turnips or whatever we were judging, they would say, yes, but you'll have to come and judge for me. So I ended up going judging then all over the country and did that. And then I became, a few years later, became chairman of that society for a year, and did a few other bits and bobs. And then 3 days after the triplets were born, I had a phone call from one of Dad's friends who I knew very well, and we sort of chatted away. And he's a farmer, and I thought he was ringing up because he was going to. Because I'd always joked to him about come on, Mark, when am I going to farm your farm? Come on, you want to go and enjoy yourself, go and do a bit of traveling, and busy man like you. And anyway, we had this conversation for half an hour, like dancing around the garden, where we both didn't quite know what
the reason of the call was.
Yeah. And then he said, as you know, I'm chairman of Hartbury College, Agricultural College, which is our Gloucestershire's agricultural college. And I was thinking, would you like to become a governor? I'm like, timing is not great with you, Mark. I had triplets who were born 3 days ago. I think if I asked my wife at this point,
can I do something else away from the home?
Then I think that might not go down very well. So you're going to have to leave with me, and I'll come back to you. So I left it a few months, and he rang me again, and I approached the subject with Katie, and she just said, "Well, go and have a look at it, and, if you want to do it." And so I went and had a look, and met the principal of Hartbury, Malcolm Wharton, and said yes to doing it. And so it was quarter of a day a week.
Oh, right.
Wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
I did it for 17 years. When I finished, I was vice chairman of a university because we also became a university.
Right.
And I was giving a day and a half.
I was going to say a quarter of a day a week. That's
It started at a quarter of a day a week and finished at a day and a half a week.
Day and a half a week. Nice work if you can get it.
Unpaid.
Okay, I know. It's like all these non-exec type positions, so isn't it?
And people would ask me why I did it. So, all my friends would say, "Why on earth are you doing that?" Because they would see me on my knees because I was trying to grow a business, kids, new enterprise, all those, and then I was doing that, and I would just say, "Well, it feeds my ego and feeds my soul," and it's it was amazing to be able to be part of such a successful place, and to see it grow from 89 students in 1989 to just shy of 4,000 when I left, and to be a tiny cog in that engine, in that machine, and it was just a privilege, and it was really, really nice to just to get off the farm and have a different perspective, and I learned a lot. So I did that, and then I've done a couple of chairman of Gloucestershire Root Fruit and Grain Agricultural Society for a couple of years after that, and I am stepping down as chairman of Hereford Ag Club in July, and then that's it. I'm done.
There's an amazing amount of these little, I don't mean little in scale or importance, but that these very local old organisations, be they around the type of farming or the sort of a club that was created maybe 200 years ago that's still going today. Do you know what I mean? It's sort of this crazy paving kind of mishmash of organisations and chapters almost within farming that some are still going, but it's another language to an outsider looking in to sort of know how to navigate and where they all exist.
Yeah, I mean, you've got members of there are members of agricultural societies who are third, fourth, fifth generation.
Yeah,
and our industry it is very static. I don't think there are many organisations as static as the farming industry. So,
do you think it's changing in any way?
Well, there's less of us for a start.
Yeah. Is it turning into something else though?
I think that we are one of the last bastions of people doing their bit for their society, and that sounds really bad. And there's a lot of amazing sort of inner city farms and lots of social things going on, but I think society as a whole, I think, is probably doing a bit. People are less likely to volunteer to do their bit, and I think farming has kept that going more than most other industries and most other groups, and so I think that's really, really nice. I think that is it changing? Are we changing into something else? I think that nowadays you not only need to be a good farmer, you need to be a good businessman, and I think you need to be both of those in equal measures, if not the businessman more. And I probably fall slightly at the business end. I'm not a bad farmer, but I'm not as good a businessman. And but I think that's where I think society. I think that's where the agricultural industry is going. I think it's just going to be less of us.
Yeah. It's market forces, really, isn't it?
Yeah, and I don't have a problem with that. I don't. It's progress. How many businesses 100 years ago were making cars? A lot more than there are today. And it's just all those small manufacturers have gone into bigger ones, and so we're no different to any other industry. And so I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's survival of the fittest, and that's the same as market forces.
What role do you think technology is having on farming in your farm, for example?
So we try and use technology. So we variable rate. We've been doing variable rate applications of phosphate, potash, lime, or whatever for about 18 years. And auto steer on tractors. The first one was about 18 years ago. But we're not cutting edge. We're not at the very, very, very front. We just try and stay just one step behind if we can. The difference it's having is unbelievable in as much that you can, the precision of inputs, the precision of the work quality, the reduction in fatigue for operators. If you're asking a driver to spend 12 or 14 hours a day driving in a straight line, that takes incredible concentration, particularly on our terrain, trying to keep it straight and what have you. And so it's also allowed us to allow quite a lot of less. You haven't got to be quite the craftsman that you had to be before. It was a real. You're an expert professional at driving this kit. Nowadays, you can get away without being that because the machine is doing a lot of it for you.
Yeah.
But you've got to be able to drive the machine, and the technology is, I think they're making it less complicated, but still increasing the capabilities of it, and so it is becoming slightly easier to drive. Doesn't always, so we would probably now spend as many times bringing up a technical support, which is somebody with a mobile phone and a keyboard to get a machine working, as we would can it with oily hands and government oil.
That's a source of frustration, isn't it, for some farmers, that right at the point of need, a piece of software lets you down. And whereas I know that all too well, having been on the other side of it. I can't imagine how frustrating that would be. 7 o'clock in the evening, you haven't finished, a field, and something's blacked out on the screen, and you're waiting for tech support to tell you in an area here where you wouldn't even have phone signal.
Quite. I mean, that's really frustrating. And it was always on a Saturday lunchtime, knowing that you wouldn't be able to get anybody till Monday morning. But at the same time, we are blessed with some amazing backup from amazing people who they've got the farming ethic, they've got that work, the understanding that no, the job's got to be done now. Now is the time for planting. We need to get it in the ground. We're working 7 days a week. We're putting a lot of hours in, and those technical people are happy to be on the end of a phone. Because I mean, I was fertilizer spreading, and I rang up the chap who deals with my software on the fertilizer spreader. We put an end sensor that measures the chlorophyll in the crop and changes how much goes on each part of the field. Well, I rang him up. He said, "Oh, just give me 5 minutes. I'll bring you back." So he rang me back. I said, "Thanks for ringing me back." He said, "No problem." He said, I was by the pool, and I haven't got good enough reception." I said, "Where are you?" "Well, I'm on holiday." "Oh my God, well, what are you doing answering the phone?" He said, "Well,
because
if I answer the phone, I can come on holiday. But if I don't answer the phone, I can't go on holiday." And if you know what I mean, that I can go away and I can still pick up the phone and I can take your call.
Talk you through it.
But for the next 3 hours, I haven't got to take a phone call, but I can be on holiday. So, and he was then driving the computer in my tractor and linking stuff up and opening this and doing that. And it made, I don't know about you, but it always makes you a bit queasy when you watch somebody else moving the mouse, like moving your cursor around.
No, I find it really a big relief, and I usually bugger off at that point and go and do something else. It's like, that's all I want you to take over. It's the worst thing, being self-employed, not having IT support. But no, I'm interested just to know the impact of that. I looked at machinery sales as a transferable career path for a while, and then very quickly decided it wasn't for me, just because I'd come from a semi-software background and services and things like that, so it felt like it would be an easy route in. But I don't get up inside the cab and look at inside tractors when I'm at the shows and stuff like that, because I don't know what I'm looking at. But it does seem to be an awful lot of flat screens and gear but I suppose that's just the nice big shiny stuff that's at all the shows.
Yeah, I mean, I jumped up into a neighbour's tractor when they were planting some potatoes on a field next door to us 2 years ago. I think it was, just to have a quick word with the driver about something, and he had 5 different screens in there.
Yeah,
And monitoring this, variable rate plan for that, different things. Oh, it was, there's a lot going on.
yeah. I suppose
It's great.
it gives you something to do other than thinking about staying awake when you're driving in a straight line, as you say, for 12 hours.
Yeah. It's taken away one thing and gone to another.
So, with a lot of the increases in input costs this year, does it change what you're going to do this year in terms of what you're going to be planting?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of things that I think I'm just gonna. It'll be tweaks. It'll be tweaks as opposed to major. We're not going to suddenly go organic, for example, and go cold turkey on fertilizers. But we'll just tweak a few cropping decisions, maybe not second wheats. We'll have another. We're in SFI at the moment. We'll put another application in for maybe a few bits more in the September one. We didn't do much last time. We've got probably only of the 1,600 acres of combined of arable land we farm. We've probably only got about 120 acres of SFI at the moment in total. That's on landowners, 3 different landowners who like the thought of feeding birds and butterflies, and that suits me. They want to see here, and we use the bad fields to put them on, and we move them around, and we make it work for us. So no, I don't think so. I mean, I think I'm convinced we're in the bottom of the trough of profitability.
Mm-hmm.
I have to be an optimist.
Yeah.
Be a farmer. You cannot. Even the people who say they're not optimistic. If you're a farmer, you're blimmin' optimistic, because you take a seed, you put it in the ground in the autumn. You don't know what the weather's going to do between now and harvest. You don't know how much you're going to harvest, how much you're going to sell it for. You don't. There's all those variables.
Yeah.
You have to be,
by your very nature, optimistic.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, and we farm in a temperate climate.
What's it like for you in terms of drought conditions where you are?
Well, yeah, I caught up with some friends last week, worked for a company of farmers' friends. So they were from all over the country, from sort of Northumberland, right down the East Coast, right down to South Coast, right down to Arundel down there. And I think Northumberland was fine. They've always got plenty of moisture up there. We aren't too bad. The cold has hit us more than the dry over here. It's just been, it's just been cold, like we said earlier on. I like the fire. My wife's told me that's my next job after I've talked to you. And it's May. It's May the 15th or whatever. It's ridiculous.
But last summer, where we had technically 3 droughts, didn't we? Nationally, what impact did that have on you?
Yeah. So we didn't have a blade of grass on the farm. Not a blade. We started feeding our cows, our suckler cows. We started giving them bales of haylage. The first bale went out on the 1st of July. We fed more last summer than we made last summer.
Yeah.
But we were blessed in 2024 with phenomenal
wet summer, wasn't it?
Wet. It was wet. Yeah. It was growy. There was so much haylage and hay made. I had nearly 1,300 bales of wrapped silage at the end of March last year. This year I've got 126. I had 126. So we managed to get through it because we'd
had a good year the year before.
Had a massive crop the year before. Straw will be my biggest thing this year. We're going to be very tight on straw because we use it every day of the year, the goats. But every year's different, and we're gonna probably leave a few grass seeds down for an extra year and forage them next year to try and replenish the hay barns and the silage pits, because I think we're still going to be short after this year.
Yeah. Well, I wish you luck with that. And so back to your point, it is about being an optimist, really, isn't it? That's the biggest unknown of all, isn't it?
Yeah. We do that every day and we don't think about it. So for me, the slings and arrows that are thrown at us, you've just got to just keep chugging on. And it's just more. I don't find the weather frustrating particularly because it's so out of my control. There's no point. I find politicians and government policy frustrating because somebody's chosen to do that to us consciously. So that's frustrating. But no, not the weather.
Good. So you said to me earlier that you've got goats on the farm. What do you do with the goats? Why have you got the goats on the farm?
So we grew the arable business and the sheep and the beef over the years, and then 2005-ish, 4 or 5, we stopped growing and the area, and I had itchy feet. I wanted to keep growing, but I didn't want to rent any more land because the business had gone out of balance. You rent someone's land, and 9 times out of 10 it hasn't got any buildings. The infrastructure's not great, and you already got it for a short period of time. And then 5 or 10 years down the line, we could lose all the rented land and end up with masses of kit that's not going to make any money and not be able to use it. We wanted to intensify, and I saw goats being a goat milking enterprise that was set up in 2003 on one of our contract farms. And when the owner said to me he was thinking about going into goats, I thought he was as mad as a box of frogs. But I saw him do it for a year and fell in love with the idea and managed to source a contract and some breeding stock in 2006, and we started milking in 2007. So it was really just to grow the business. So they're fully housed. It's quite intensive. It's
what makes keeping goats intensive? What's the system that's intensive about it?
Yeah, so we'd have about 1,100-1,200 goats in buildings on a greenfield site that we build, and the goats never go out, so they're inside all the time, all year round. And so they're milked twice a day, every day. We're block kidding different goats at different times, at 4 times a year. So it's very, compared to everything else we do, it's quite intensive. Concentration and routine and everything, but actually it gives you great cash flow because you get a milk check every month, which we never used to have. It used to be really lumpy.
Can I ask a question? That might be a really silly question here, because I've not thought about the concept of milking goats. Obviously, I know that goats are milked because I think goats milk. Is it in a manual parlour or is it robotic milking?
No, it's manual. There's no robots. There's none of the companies.
Tiny little robots.
No.
I know that's a really stupid question. Now I'm thinking about lots of little people milking.
No, there's no. I don't have any minions. No. I might look a bit like Brew, but no.
Sorry, carry on. And I'll get over myself.
It would be like the traditional cows parlours from years ago, in as much herringbones or rotary parlours. And we've got a 60-60 rapid exit herringbone, so we can put 60, go 30 down each side. Milk or 30 down each side at the same time. And then they exit out quickly. So we milk them twice a day, every day, same as cows. And the ration is, we grow most of the ingredients on the farm. So maize, oats, beans, grass. And then with the milk goes, a third of the milk goes to Waitrose for liquid milk. A third of it goes to different cheesemakers all around the country. And a third of it goes to Cumbria, to a company called Kendall NutriCare, and they powder it for baby infant formula.
How long does it take to milk a goat?
So at the moment, we're putting just over 700 goats through the parlour, and that takes just under 3 hours.
I have to get my
one person.
out then. Yeah.
Quite quick.
Yeah. Interesting. So,
and then we started the other thing we did then in 2020. One of the reasons for doing the goats was to grow the business, intensify, and do it on our own farm, but also the triplets. My triplets were only they weren't very old at all, 2 I think when we started, and I wanted to have another I wanted to have produce a commodity we could do something with if we wanted to add value. And it's not it's not easy to add value to beef and lamb and wheat and barley. And I didn't think anyway at the time. And so we thought actually with milk, yeah, you could do something with it. And so we set up an ice cream brand in 2020. We launched we were due to launch the day that Boris locked us down. Scuppered the plans a bit, but we launched Oh My Goat then, and we're growing that brand slowly. So we're in sort of 10 or 15 farm shops around here. We do a few shows, but we tend to do invitational ones really. So we're on a stand at Cereals at Diddley Squat this time.
Oh, wicked! I'll see it there.
On the RAGT stand. We grow one of their maize varieties, and they've asked us to take the ice cream on the stand. And actually, on the topic of Jeremy Clarkson, if you've watched that and you've seen the goats on there, they actually came from here.
Did I see? Was that an old series?
Season 2 or 3, I think it was. He introduced those.
Yeah, I can't remember. Oh, maybe I can. Do you know, I started watching it a long time after everybody else had clowned it. And after I'd actually made this decision to be involved, and I thought, well, I've got to watch it because everybody's talking about it. Do you know what I mean? I do like Clarkson, but I just got a terrible memory, so I did need to watch it again. I don't remember the goats in particular, but I'll be at Cereals. Are you going up to that?
Yeah, and they're both days. Yeah, we've got to be on hand to help with the ice cream or whatever. So yeah,
brilliant. Well, I'll see you. So I'll be there. I think I'm going to go on the second day.
Yeah.
Which should be fun. Oh My Goat, that's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, OMG. So yeah, it's been great, and it was really nice actually the lockdown, having something positive going on in the farm. Where once people could get out, they were interested in alternative foods and new foods, and it became we almost became French. Can you believe?
Yeah, we
almost became French.
People were learning how to make bread and all sorts, sourdough starters, and
yeah, exactly. And so we that was pretty nice. And yeah, very proud.
And then we all became very English again, didn't we?
Yeah, we have gone back to running around like blue-ass flies, haven't we?
And it resulted into type, moaning about this and that. There you go. Brilliant. Well, that's lovely to talk to you.
Lovely to meet you anyway. And
thank you very much for spending the time. And I hope we get to talk again sometime.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, it's been a real pleasure. And I thoroughly enjoy listening to Past Your Bedtimes while I'm sat on the lawnmower out mowing the lawns. It's very therapeutic.
That's good of you to say. Thanks so much. No. Your checks in the post.
Lovely.
Lovely to meet you. Thank you so much. And I'll be in touch.
No problem. Thanks, Bev.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
My thanks to Charlie for joining me today. If you're in the Hereford, Gloucestershire area, look out for Oh My Goat ice cream and tell them that I sent you. As I mentioned to Charlie, I'll be at Cereals this week, which this year is being held at the popular Diddley Squat farm. With Clarkson's farm dominating the headlines, there'll doubtless be a lot of press coverage, but unlike Farm Fest, this is very much an industry event. I'll be there both days and hope to catch up with a few of the people who've contributed to Past Your Bedtime so far. So if you're going and spot me, please do come and say hello. Well, that's all for today. As always, if you're enjoying the podcast, please subscribe so as not to miss future episodes. But for now, if it is past your bedtime, then perhaps it's time to turn in. Until next time.